Good morning. I'm Kate West. I'm the founder of When Lightning Strikes community, and I'm here with my partner, Gordon Curtis. And we thought we'd make you a quick video about something that's come up for us that's been very important, and that is, how do you relate to others who aren't in this process in the world? As more and more people are waking up and having experiences that don't make sense in the context of day-to-day living, what do you do when you want to share what's real for you, but ascertain that there may not be a receptivity or a context for understanding what you're going through?
It's such an important question, Kate. And it reminds me, we were just talking about how early on in the process, my Kundalini awakening happened in 2013. And for so many years, the question that I didn't want to answer was, hey, how you doing? What's up? What are you up to?
Yeah.
And not knowing how to describe, I'm going through the most intense life experience one can go through with ego death and all of the purification that Kundalini is doing,
Kriyas.
and changing of habits and views and values, and I mean just everything. And so we were really trying to grok how difficult that has been, and knowing who we can trust, and everyone is different. And so we have to kind of gauge our audience and determine their vibration and their level of receptivity and how spiritually literate they are or whatever. And so each person requires seemingly a different answer. And
which can be very taxing on you, the individual, to be constantly in such a sensitive state already, to be like having to feel into someone else's level of or ability to be attuned.
And the frustration and the anxiety that I experienced with this led to, well, it's just easier just to isolate. And I knew that was not the right answer, but I shared too much to some people who thought I was perhaps gone off the deep end. And there are others that I probably could have shared more with. And I just didn't have the language and the words, and I hadn't talked to anybody about this to speak up, just read. And then once the community was cobbled together, and thank goodness for Kate, being able to talk about it, and it's now much easier to know how, when, and whom to share this experience. And the sharing of it is just so critical. It's so easy just to hold it all in.
Yeah. And I think a number of things can happen. I think that when we're wanting to connect, and we're wanting to be seen and felt, and in these states of such sensitivity, and you're learning to have a level, your body is actually acclimating to a new level of understanding or feeling truth. So I feel like a couple things can happen when you're in an exchange. One is the other person can not know what to do, not know how to be present, which isn't their fault. We're not taught how to be present, right? Like nobody's taught how to be present. Really what anybody wants is just true attuned presence. No, very few people in the world know how to do that. So that's one thing. You can end up taking care of the other person's uncomfortable feelings with what you're going through, because they don't know what to do or say, because they don't have any context themselves, which isn't their fault. And then the third thing is that they might relate to you on a level of something that they've experienced, thinking it's the same thing when it isn't. So I've experienced all of those things. Each one of them has left me feeling lonelier than before. So this is why we're creating this community, essentially, to give you a space to share whatever it is you're going through, and to know that you're really held in a space of attuned, like, openness, that nothing is going to be projected onto you, that you're safe, that we don't think you're crazy, that we don't think your experience is exactly like ours. But that we understand that there are some fundamental similarities about all of these states. And one is the propensity to feel profoundly alone. And so finding others who you can relate to in community is critical. And then we can kind of figure out together like how to address people who aren't having the experience, like our family and our loved ones. And obviously we don't want to shut them out, but there may be times where it's not appropriate to share the whole thing because it's not healthy for you. And so just a little intro to this topic, maybe we can do like a Q&A or a discussion around it, a community discussion around it. But that was just something that we were inspired to share from our conversation this morning. Right? The question of like, how are you becomes really interesting.
One example that Kate shared with me, and I have experienced myself, was that certain loved ones, they wanted to help and viewed us as being sick or in needy or damaged goods or, somehow compromised, which is the truth. But the last thing we want to feel is subjectified or objectified as someone who is ill.
Or like a project or a study,
go.
Even some people with the best of intentions who want to understand, having not been through the experience, it's like I would end up feeling like I was part of I was a subject of like a study, which made me feel even more like I was an alien.
Despite their best loving efforts.
Right. So it's complex, and I guess there's no real answer, but we can explore this together and we can help one another feel less alone in the process. And I think when there's an ability to know you're not alone here, you can kind of re-engage with the regular world. Not everybody has to know out there. We can know in here, and we can know here, and we can know together. And then that creates more of a stable base to kind of re-engage with the world, on the level of what the world understands. And right now, it doesn't understand this phenomenon. So,
and hence the ancient traditions that kept a lot of the wisdom under wraps, because they would be ostracized or
hospitalized
or crucified, literally.
Yeah.
And so, we can learn from the caution with which this information is shared only among members of a sacred community, which is what we're creating.
Right. And I had a friend say, there's people that get level 10 access, and then there's people that get level 2 access. And it's I thought that was kind of a simple way to gauge. I know who I can share everything with, and I know who I can share 2% of this with. So here you will find level 10 access, we hope. We believe that is our goal. So, yep, go ahead.
And just in closing, we welcome your input on variations on this theme and any other topics and themes that come to mind, because this is for you, by you.
Yeah, exactly. Peace out.